in 2004, I was in middle school. I could not relate.
Sorry.
Hi, everybody. I'm Amy Newman.
And I'm Kris Carr, and we are two Philly Casuals.
And we're back.
Yeah, baby!
It's been a minute.
Mm-hmm.
We missed you, and we appreciate you giving us a little spring break.
Yeah, thanks. I went to Florida like a real spring breaker.
I had some health stuff.
But she's back and better than ever.
I had to go on antibiotics, also like a real spring breaker.
It's very true. Yeah.
I'm fine. It was all very minor. But thank you for everyone who sent well wishes. And for those of you who didn't, I've documented your names in my book.
Took note.
But we know that getting into a new fandom can be intimidating, especially with all the gatekeeping out there.
It absolutely can. And that's why on this podcast, we invite a super fan on so they can talk to you about their fandom. You can ask some questions, and then you can dip your toe in sans judgment.
Heck yeah.
Yeah. And today, we have one of my favorite humans joining us on the pod. She is an actor. She is a writer. She is just the very best and sends me wonderful fan of the opera memes all the time. We are joined today by Mia Topalian. Hey, Mia.
Yay! I'm so happy to be here and talk about Veronica Mars.
Hold on. Are you also a fan of the opera girly?
Yes, I am.
Well, we'll talk about that sometime.
Okay.
When she's trying to get my attention every now and then, she'll just do a Christine. I love it so much.
Yeah. That was really formative for me. Not just the whole yanking someone into the basement of an opera house, but being a little girl who does ballet, being like, give me attention. Yeah.
That's my
Anyway.
big takeaway from that show.
Yeah.
If you're good enough and pretty enough, just wait for someone to kidnap you.
I have so many
Seems like
questions.
we have to go back to that, huh?
I have so many questions, but we'll be here for 3 hours if we start down that path and then do this. So moving right along, Veronica Mars is what we're here. We'll have you back. Veronica Mars is what we're here to talk about today.
Yes.
What is Veronica Mars?
Veronica Mars is a teen neo-noir set in a fictional neighborhood called Neptune, California. They shot, I think, outside of San Diego.
Feels very Malibu coded.
Yeah. I mean, it's
Malibu,
very like
Venice, like
Something of that nature.
Well, there's like the haves and the have-nots.
Mm-hmm.
There's the O-9ers is what they call them, because that's their zip code. And then there's the motorcycle gang. And then there's kind of the project kids, which our hero is a part of. And it's basically, it follows the mysteries that have more like larger scale mysteries that they do through the season. So the first season, she's solving the murder of her best friend, famously played by none other than Amanda Seyfried. I think it had to have been pre-Mean Girls. So she's trying to solve the murder of her best friend. She's also trying to solve her own rape from the summer before.
Oh. And
then each episode, there are small mysteries that involve people in the town and people that she goes to school with. It's the best. It's very female empowering. And what I loved most about it when I came to the show was that she was this shapeshifter, because her dad, when we meet her dad used to be the sheriff and has fallen from grace after going after the wrong guy. Or so we think. Or maybe he is the wrong guy. I don't know. But she has this relationship with law enforcement that's really interesting. But then also she has these connections with the motorcycle gang and the kind of outsiders. And when she's trying to investigate these different mysteries, she's always playing a different character. So you have this Kristen Bell, who's probably early 20s, maybe 23-ish, I would guess. Doing Russian accents, going undercover at like gamer bars, like going, pretending to be all these different people on the phone, and going undercover in these dangerous situations beyond what a normal teenage girl would be able to do. So it was the biggest sort of wish fulfillment-y show. And it was Kristen Bell, so she was just acting her brains out in every second of that show. So I loved it. I love Veronica Mars. That's what Veronica Mars is.
Well, I know from you personally, you're a big Kristen Bell girly, and that also sent you on a trajectory as well.
Yeah, this started my Veronica Mars started my Kristen Bell obsession. She is from basically where I'm from in Michigan. So
where on the
right like here.
Okay.
Center Palm.
Yeah, right about Center Palm, right outside of between Detroit and Ann Arbor.
Okay.
And I was floored by her performance. And it was like, well, first of all, the coolest girl at Interlochen Arts Camp introduced me to Veronica Mars. And she was like, you will not believe it. You meet her and she's this cool girl with short hair. But then there are these flashbacks where she's this naive girl with long hair going to prom. And I'm like, oh my God, that blows my mind.
That is
and then
those are the two types of girls.
Yeah, range.
Short girl, cool girl with short hair.
yes. And then long hair girl that goes to prom.
Yeah.
Yeah. Truly, that's oscillated between the two. Yeah.
And
Well, girl with short hair. We won't. Let's not kid ourselves, Amy.
honestly, yeah. And then when I wanted to watch the show, my parents were like, yeah, we actually know some people who know her, and she's actually from here. And knowing that she was from Michigan and then went to NYU, that was what I wanted to do because she did it. So I went to NYU because Kristen Bell went to NYU. And my first week of Tisch, when people would ask, like, who's your favorite actor? And I would say Kristen Bell. They would think, you mean Christian Bale?
Oh.
Yeah. And I was like, no. I mean, not yet. No.
Yeah. Because I feel like her career has only blossomed from here, and she's become more of a household name from this, beyond this show.
Yeah. Well, yeah. This is like, I mean, it sent me down the Reefer Madness rabbit hole with her. And I followed her career ever since Veronica Mars because I was so connected to this character who was so curious, so passionate, and not perfect. She was the first female antihero I remember really loving.
That's so formative. Like, I feel like, I don't know, for me, I look back on media I loved when I was younger, and it's like, oh, I didn't realize at the time, but now I'm looking back on this and realizing how important it was for me to see a woman who is not perfect, but is not villainized for not being perfect. And, like, that's something I think a lot of us responded to in characters. And then in hindsight, you're like, oh, it's that was a big part of it. Just feeling like I had grace to be an actual fully fledged human being who makes mistakes, because that's not something women are always afforded in media.
Totally. And I think that there's the pursuit of something. That sounds really vague to put it that way, but a lot of teen girl content is about just getting a guy to like her, and she was just never about that.
Yeah.
Guys liked her for sure.
Oh yeah.
but so little of her focus was about trying to get a guy's attention, and so much of it was about growing up and about changing. And I think that it was exactly what I needed at that time, and became just so ingrained in me.
Yeah.
And at the heart of it, there's a really great family story, like a really great father-daughter story. And their dynamic is something that is so... I haven't seen something so specific, and it felt so raw and real in WB times, LOL. Like, how many millions of lifetimes ago does that feel? And the guest list for the stars on this show is really stacked. Like, Jessica Chastain is in season 1 as this young battered wife who goes missing, and Veronica tries to find her, and learns in the process about the abuse. Right? She's like, oh, I didn't know that I found someone who was trying to get away. So there was a lot of questions about justice, and this has happened like a couple times in the show where she finds someone who actually went into Secret Service, like had been in the witness protection program. And her dad's like, how did you find this guy? Like, he's literally covered federally. Like, what are you doing? So I love that we never could fully count on her doing the right thing, but she was always going to be doing something. She was always doing something. She was finding people who were meaning to be lost. she would find herself in dangerous situations. Another good guest star was Adam Scott too.
Oh.
In a stacked episode because Leighton Meester is also in that episode.
I always forget he was like doing Boy Meets World and shit back in the day.
Yeah, it is so wild to go back and watch, especially that first season, and see like Kristen Cavallari's in it. It's so random, and it's very much a marker of the times. Kristen Ritter's in it. Tessa Thompson is a really big character in season 1.
Damn.
Max Greenfield.
Yes. Oh well, yeah. He's one of Veronica's favorite boyfriends, or my favorite of Veronica's boyfriends, the cop.
So this show was 2004.
I think so. Yeah, it started in the end of 2004, and then it went into went into the beginning of the year, I think, because it was 22 episodes.
Yeah.
That first season.
It had a bit of a rocky, like, it's a show where when you, it's like, okay, so there was the show, and then there was the movie, and then there was more show.
Correct.
Okay.
There was the show, and the vibe of the first season of the show was very cult following. And it was actually, probably, I was really nervous to come on this show because I struggled to identify as being a part of any fandom. Probably because of the reason that you have the show in the first place, which is if you don't know everything, if you aren't ready to be an intense stan and like fight people, then it's kind of intimidating to be like, I really like this thing.
Yeah. And we are bullies.
It's true.
We cut a lot of it, but we yell a lot. Well, you heard it before we started. Yeah. I'm gonna pause real fast.
I've been beaten down before this began.
Yeah. Emotionally and physically.
Yeah. And this ends with a swirly. So
thank God. Yeah. I need to wash my hair.
We have a locker just to put you in.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, yeah, but when I thought about the first season of Veronica Mars really felt like you were being invited into some cool special thing. And then season 2 happened. And between season 1 and season 2, you'll see that it got a little bit more, it was pre-CW, but CW-y. Like, suddenly everyone's in a push-up bra and wearing about 30% more makeup. And it gets a little, like, more sexed up, kind of, and leans even heavier into less of the traditional noir things that a lot of the cult lovers like me really gravitated towards, and tried to compete in a more overt way with a lot of the teen dramas at the time were a little more salacious.
A little more wide, like what I'm sure some executive thought was teenager mass appeal.
Yeah, or even like, they probably, and I don't actually know whether this actually happened, but it seems like they were looking at the message boards, looking at who's there, and it's a bunch of 20-something-year-old guys, probably. Like, oh, these guys, if these are our guys, then we might as well make everything a little hotter, right? And listen, I love season 2. I love all 3 seasons of the show. And then after season 2, they went to college, and the show significantly changed because we had a kind of fresh restart. And the other 2 seasons were focused more on one big mystery that goes all the way through the season with the smaller mysteries. But the first season in college, the overarching mysteries did not last a full season. So it was a little more episodic, and the characters grew up in ways that I think the fandom had more problems with. So by the end, it was a little more of a contentious ending, and it was kind of pulled the plug. Like, the plug was pulled. So everyone was expecting season 3 to be followed by season 4, and you can tell by the last episode. So it was really a jarring experience to learn that there was not going to be that last season, because it was clearly not intended to be the last episode of the show. So then the movie happened, and the movie was...
You got the thing everybody who's had this happen to a show, they love. It's like, I'm still gunning for a glow. Like, wrap it up, you know?
Oh, that hurts.
I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
That hurts.
I know.
Yeah.
So I'm so thankful for fans of this show that you got that, like, second chance to... Did the movie button things like you were hoping?
Well,
because I hear that and I'm like, someone got it.
So
someone bullied them into doing it.
The best thing about the movie is that the movie the movie felt like fanfic, kind of. Like, the movie was, like, very much fan service. It was for the fans. It was financed by the fans.
Someone mentioned that. We got a question
good.
from Slabdragon asking about the crowdfunding for the movie, and Slabdragon was saying they donated.
I donated too, and I had no business donating. I was too young to be donating, but I definitely did.
Whose credit card did you steal?
No comment. But yeah, I mean, they made a movie for the fans and for the fans only, and the fans had a nice time.
Yeah.
I think most people who would identify as marshmallows.
Is that the fandom name?
Yes. Ah! Yes, marshmallows, because in the pilot, Veronica is very much she's tough, right? And it's kind of a rebrand for her because she was this sort of sweet girl who was probably like the number 3 popular girl. You know who that is. The sort of quiet, nice one who isn't necessarily the hottest and isn't necessarily the anythingest of the group, but is a go-with-the-flow, fine hang.
I do not want to go to the high school where Kristen Bell is not necessarily the hottest. I am toast.
Well, and I think that was part of this big wish fulfillment-y thing is, like, she had this. Like, she had this status. She had the, like, teenage dream. And to come back on junior year and have her hair cut short and have her wearing these, like, edgy clothes and having her getting kicked out of class but still being the smartest one. Like, one of the first things you hear her say in the pilot is she's staring out the window because they employ a lot of voiceover, like old school detective noirs. And she's in lit, and she's, like, staring out the window, talking about, you know, her death, her rape, or her best friend's death, just, like, thinking about the universe. And she's in some sort of honors writing class, and the teacher goes, like, what do you think, you know, Proust meant, or whatever? And she's like, I think life's a bitch and then you die. And he's like, okay, like, yeah, that's what he means. but she has this really tough air, and it's kind of funny because she's so small, and, like, some actors it's easy to forget how small they are, but Kristen Bell is one of those actors, like, you can always feel how small she is.
She really is very petite.
Yes.
Yeah.
She's a woodland creature.
They have so much fun with that, too. They're always, like, putting her in cabinets. And, like especially in a show like this, like, she hides a lot physically. Yeah. There'll be a lot of scenes where there'll be a tense conversation, and she'll, like, bust out of a... Anyway, that's totally a tangent. But the fandom is called the Marshmallows because she has this really tough exterior. And, you know... she gets confronted by the head of the motorcycle gang in the pilot, and she tries to threaten him with she has this taser that she, like, carries around, and a dog named Backup. So it's great. She's always like, oh, I'm gonna bring Backup, and you see this, like, dog next to her. It's great. Cute. But she threatens this guy with a taser, and then he's like, I'm not afraid of you. Like, Veronica, like, I know you, and you're a marshmallow. And that means that she's soft on the inside. Aww. So, yeah, that's why the Veronica Mars fans are called marshmallows.
And for the most part, those marshmallows were happy with that film?
I think most of them were happy that it existed. Like, everyone was just so eager to not have the story be over in that cliffhanger way.
Yeah.
And that was big for people who were really in it for Logan. Because when the show ended, she was with Piz, who was also a great Veronica boyfriend.
Yeah.
Yeah, Piz.
Unfortunate.
He's a radio boy.
What?
He's so cute.
Don't just say that like I know what those words mean.
He is so dreamy.
What the fuck's a radio boy?
He has a radio show.
Oh, okay.
He has a radio show.
Come on.
I only know podcast.
Well, he has a cool radio station.
That's pretty hot.
Yeah, in college.
And he's adorable.
And he's so cute.
He's a very, very cute boy.
Okay.
He's probably the cutest boyfriend, in my humble opinion.
Who played him?
Oh, it's that same actor. This is not going to be like, wow, what a cute guy, because he's the problematic man in
Promising
Young Woman.
Well, I think almost, it's Christopher
Which
Lowell.
one? There's 17 in that
It's Christopher Lowell. I know who it is.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, you're the fan.
I am the fan. I love him. And he's wonderful. He's talented. He's a really talented actor.
Oh, speaking of Glow.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, he is Glow.
Yeah.
Yeah. He.
I love that guy.
He's great.
Did not know his name.
Big fan.
Wonderful.
He's just, what, Bash?
I think that's his name.
Yeah.
Good call.
Yeah.
Good call.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
I have never let go of that show.
Wow, we have to add that to the list.
Did you ever get to audition for it?
Glow?
Yeah.
What do you mean?
Like, did you get to audition for the show Glow? Did you ever get an audition for it?
No.
I was furious that I never did. With this fucking hair? In what world? In what world? I talk to my agent constantly where I was like, it can't be smaller. Like, it just, I wake up and it's this.
Yeah.
But get me a co-star audition.
Yeah.
Furious.
That would have been so
Sorry, I look
perfect.
confused. I've never had an agent that good.
Literally. That show.
Clearly me neither.
I
thought you were asking about the time I almost became a real lady wrestler.
Oh, no.
Wait. Can you tell me about that?
That's pretty much the whole story.
Just out of your own volition, you decided.
No,
You gave it all up. You folded up the leotard and put it away, or what?
No, I auditioned for it's not called Glow anymore, but the same guy who did Glow in the 80s now runs WOW, which is Women of Wrestling.
Yeah.
I auditioned for that. I made it to
Wow.
I made it to like callback training kind of boot camp. Made it the full 3 days. They were like, come back for more training. And I was like, my back hurts so much. I don't think I will.
Oh my God.
So
It was a very exciting time for me.
And
Yeah.
90% of it was just how much I love Glow and was like, that could be me.
Of course. Well, and also, have you read Betty Gilpin's book?
No, I should. She's phenomenal.
You must read her book. You must read
I
her
love
book.
her.
It's wonderful.
Yeah.
I love the way she thinks.
Yeah. Anyways, so closure because we had the love interests. So
Yes.
we have his.
Okay, I can go through my Veronica boyfriends.
Yes, please.
In no particular order.
No,
So
rank them.
I should have done that before I got here. Well, the first boyfriend of note is Duncan. Duncan is her high school boyfriend who was her best friend's brother.
Okay.
So the dead best friend's brother. And he's actually one of the suspects in season 1. And there's a lot of drama about who her literal parents are. And there's a lot of questions about whether Duncan, her ex-boyfriend, was actually her biological half-brother.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
Should I not
Yeah.
say that?
No, that's fine.
Okay.
We can spoiler banjo.
You should not say that because that shouldn't be a question.
It is one of the most exciting, crazy conflicts because she's trying to solve her rape, right? So she's trying to figure out who and how this happened and whatever, and she doesn't remember anything, and she's trying to solve her friend's murder, and this thing keeps coming up with her patronage, and in the middle of the murder and the rape and the incest stuff is literally Duncan. So Duncan is the first boyfriend, and he's kind of is a perfect counterpart to who she used to be. Like, he is docile, he is sweet boy who is popular boy, who is not particularly the biggest, meanest, coolest guy, but the one who comes from the best family, and the one who might have like political aspirations, the kind of good boy. Mm-hmm. Who is kind of maybe not. But, I don't know. He kind of gets redeemed. And then Logan.
Is he your brother?
You want me to spoil it for you?
Hit the banjo. Because I have to know.
Which color is it?
Surprise, motherfucker.
No, that can't be it. I'm just saying all of them. That's the banjo.
Okay.
What is that? What does that mean?
Spoilers.
You're in spoiler country.
So we hit a banjo.
Amazing. So yeah. When she figures out how she lost her virginity, she goes to Duncan's house. She rings the doorbell. she confronts him. They have this screaming, crying scene on the porch. They're like, she's like having a breakdown. And she's like, why wasn't it you? Blah, 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 blah. And I can't get this out of my head. And he goes, because I think you're my sister. And I couldn't fuck you because I knew you were my sister. I knew it. And they're screaming this at each other. But then she does get a DNA test. And she learns that her father is actually her father and that she did not, in fact, have sex with her brother.
We love
and her
that.
parents are her parents.
We love that.
Yeah, that's good.
Hot take. That's good.
Hot take.
Hot take.
Hot
I
take.
think
Good to not sleep with a sibling.
Yeah. It's crazy that was such a
say
part
big,
of it.
We say big, bold things.
Yeah, we're brave. We're really brave.
Usually,
A little
absolutes are
political.
bad.
A little political.
A little bit.
But yeah. So, and then the next boyfriend is Logan.
Mm-hmm.
Logan is the bad boy. Logan is the sneaking, making out in bathrooms. His parents are, his parents are famous in the show, and played by Lisa Rinna and Henry Hamill, right? Henry?
Is it Harry?
It's Harry. It's Harry Hamill and Lisa Rinna. So real life couple plays real life parents. And he's just like tortured and he's miserable, but he's a jerk, but also he's like hot, and they have a very steamy affair because he also was dating her best friend when she was murdered.
Oh.
So it's drama. He's like, what would Lily say? What would Lily think?
He slut shames Veronica a ton in that first season.
Because,
All that's bad. Definitively not her brother.
Definitively not her brother. So, yeah.
At least Logan is totally not her brother. There's never a question that Logan is not related to
That's,
her.
I think, maybe one of the sexiest things a man can be.
Not family.
Not your brother.
Oh my god. And then there's Officer Leo, which is a personal favorite,
Love him.
played by Sweetie Boy Max. And he's a full-on adult dating a high schooler.
Oh!
That part we do have and law enforcement eyebrows.
Okay, this isn't a
A cop dating a child.
but she's
Hooray.
not giving child. She's not giving child, and he's not giving cop. Well, he is
or
giving.
old.
He's really giving cop.
Yeah.
He's not giving old though.
Yeah.
She kind of starts to use him. Like what happens is she's kind of using her feminine wiles to get access to things at the police station, and they have this kind of flirty relationship, and then she kind of has to come clean. And she was like, actually, he's like, were you just using me to get this stuff? And she's like, it started that way, but actually, I fell for you after I decided I was using you, if that counts. And they have this hot little thing.
This all feels mature.
Yeah.
For old UPN.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing about this show, too. I didn't watch this till the pandemic because Mia told me I should watch it. She's like, well, you're stuck at home. When we'd go do our distance Taco Bell walks, we used to go meet at a Taco Bell and walk 10 feet away from each other. And that was our social interactions. We were doing great. We were thriving.
We met at a Taco Bell at like 7 in the morning and walked for like 5 miles a day.
Yeah. It was great. We were in a really good headspace. But so I didn't watch this show till later on. I can't imagine this show being on UPN.
I just want to real quick, you don't have to explain anything you did during the pandemic to me
That's
because
fair.
I was probably drunk in a kiddie pool in my parents' backyard while you
That
were doing
sounds
that.
I was going to
Dreamy.
say that.
It was all right.
I definitely did the drunk part after the walk. So I was like, well, I've earned this.
Yeah.
But I can't imagine something like this being on UPN or even WB or, I mean, honestly, even like the CW a few years ago.
Yeah.
It's a lot of intense subject matter that I don't think your average executive would be like, yep, give it the green light.
Yeah. Because my initial thing was like, oh, it's like modern Nancy Drew. But like, Nancy Drew was just like, there's fingerprints on this clock. And like, end of list.
It was a great Nancy Drew. It's really good.
Hey,
Can
I
you
love
prove
that clock.
that's not what she sounded like?
I can if I'm referencing the CW show Nancy Drew.
Was there?
Yeah.
There was. Hey, I auditioned for that one.
Yes, you did.
Honestly, like that whole it is sort of wild because when I think about the most scandalizing teenage shows that I can think of, you know, like the Riverdales of everything. When I talk to people about Veronica Mars, you're like, wait, so we're dealing with people unaliving themselves, we're dealing with murder, we're dealing with assault, we're dealing with police corruption.
You said rape
pregnancy.
and incest. I think you can say suicide.
I don't know.
Thank you for doing that for our socials. We appreciate that. We
Hey,
clip this out.
Yeah, like we're dealing with all these, really kind of wild situations, and it's interesting too because you have these short digressions into the lives of a lot of these people where she goes undercover in a cult for one episode to rescue this asshole athlete that like the parents are like, he's in this cult and he's an awful guy, and she goes and she's like, actually he's a way better guy now that he's in this cult, like. But then you just like see him at school in a couple weeks and he's like a little nicer. And there's the eye for detail that I think I really appreciated. It felt like it really wasn't as outlandish and soapy as it was. It really respected the audience.
Yeah.
Because we showed up.
Yeah. Did it feel edgy and boundary pushing at the time, or is this one of those weird, like, because sometimes you watch older stuff and you're like, this feels super edgy, but I think it's because we've actually gotten like a little more, what's the word?
Sensitive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did it feel edgy at the time, or was it just like, no, this is kind of what being a teenager actually is?
I mean, I never felt like in 2004, I was in middle school. I could not relate.
Sorry.
What?
I was a junior in high school. So I was like, oh, yeah, I forget that you guys are babies.
Well, like, I guess I was not scandalized by it.
Sure.
But I'm imagining what actually I remember being the most, feeling the most viscerally challenging for me, I guess, was all the flashbacks and the being haunted by her dead best friend. That was the stuff that was really, really grabbing to me, was that a lot of the show was pretty scary. And yes, it was like sexy and there was lots of forbidden love stuff that really got me going as a middle schooler. But like the idea that you have this best friend who is so much bolder and prettier and cooler and smarter and she was like her hero. And to have her gone, but her ghost haunting her like every episode with like wounds. I mean, like because they find her by the pool with her head cracked open. And so you just see Amanda Seyfried with her head cracked open giving these intense monologues, like trying to explain to Kristen Bell like what the future could be for her. And that happening every episode was pretty intense. Along with all of the soapy California soap drama and the noir elements of it. It didn't feel particularly edgy to me while it was happening, but in retrospect, everyone I talked to about the show was like, that was what? What was doing? These girls were switched at birth, and that's like a C plot, and then like a middle of a season episode. Like what are we
fucking
with?
on one in the early 2000s?
Yeah.
Do you remember like Secret Life of the American Teenager? Like I feel like we were trying to. That show was bad, but we were trying to push envelopes as hard as we could. I think.
Oh my God! I was just talking about the Grace monologue in Secret Life of the American Teenager,
Where she had sex and killed her dad. That one.
Because she had good sex. Because she had good sex and killed her father. It's incredible how many people just know that by heart.
Yeah. Imprinted. But on sort of the way the show could be dark, we did actually get a question from Zazuzi23 on Instagram, just saying it kind of explain the degree at how goofy the show could get to how deep the show could get.
It could get so silly. There's one episode, I think it's called Clash of the Titans, and it's when Veronica goes undercover to some secret society at school, and she dresses in this crazy disguise, and she literally sings. She sings one way or another. She gets on the stage in this like wig and sings one way or another, as a way to like, I don't know, warn them. Like the show gets so melodramatic, and part of that is something as as goofy as that. You know, I remember a lot of like a Russian accent. You know, when she would do her shape-shifting, she would pretend to be all kinds of people. And it was funny because she would pretend to be people you'd end up meeting later. So especially if she was pretending to be someone from the police department or someone's mom or someone's dad or a teacher, she would put on airs and be that person, and then you'd meet the real version of them, maybe like the next episode.
Funny.
But then there were these really, really aching moments, especially between Veronica and her mother, which I haven't mentioned yet, because Veronica's mother left before the first season and left in this turmoil in the town. So she stayed with her dad and her mom fled, and she's looking to find her mom. And there's this sort of aching desire for sisterhood, especially without her best friend and without her mom. She's kind of in this sea of men, and she really does not have any female friends until the middle of the first season, when she meets this girl who does really want to be her friend, who is, they meet at cabaret auditions, is why I'm laughing, because like that's a really great reference for sort of how goofy in high school it can be at times. Yeah. Things like their 80s dance, their Total Eclipse of the Heart dance, where she's in this, she has a great line about Jay Giles, like saying love stinks, in her steely voiceover while she's wearing this crazy 80s outfit, after she's like heartbroken and gutted about missing her best friend. Mm-hmm. So you have these really incredible moments of pure joy or pure childhood, and these really deep, deep moments of profound sadness and grief, that
which
really,
isn't that being a teenager?
Well, yeah, and I think that's what makes it such a universal show. That's why I think it lasts, and why people immediately connected so viscerally to it. Because I've never been an investigator, but God, have I wanted to know, you know?
But I do think it's interesting of like, teenagers do deal with loss. They do deal with heartbreak. They do deal with tough adult shit every day. And even hearing you say like, no, I was watching this in middle school and it didn't feel inappropriate. It didn't scandalize me.
Yeah, no.
I think we often don't acknowledge how much younger people cling to media that doesn't talk down to them, that is realistic and does acknowledge like, you're dealing with hard shit too. Just because you're, under the age of 20 doesn't mean you've never experienced life. So I think that's really cool.
Yeah, well, and there was this thing of it, she never let anyone push her around. Which was it was a cool thing to see her, there's a lot of cruelty in that show, and there's a lot of disrespect in that show, and to have a female character who is, and also like who I felt like she's small like me, like I was in middle school, I'm like, she's small, she doesn't have, like there is something sort of just innately sweet about her, despite everything that she's trying to do to prove to everyone that she is not someone to be messed with, that she's smarter, that she's not to be underestimated, that she's sharp, that she's self-sufficient, that she has all of this going for her, and it's all totally true. There's this innate sweetness that I think felt really human, and the desire to try to hide that, feeling so pertinent to being a girl. And I mean like a girl.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. We did skip a few boyfriends, so I'm going to just backtrack real quick.
Okay, this is important actually.
After Leo.
That's lovely.
But the boys.
If we're going to talk about girlhood, we're going to talk about the boys.
Okay, let's talk about the boys. So we got Troy. That's kind of like her first boyfriend in season 1, and he's a new guy. And it's complicated because he's friends with the cool people that don't like her anymore. And she realizes halfway through the first season that he's a con artist. And she basically, like, he tries to hire her to get him out of a jam because he, like, went to Mexico. Because that's the other thing is there's a lot of going to Mexico because we're playing this like it's right by the border. So they're always going to TJ and, like, scoring drugs.
Okay, so it is San Diego.
Yeah, I think it's kind of played like San Diego. And yeah, so he tries to get him out of a drug thing in Mexico.
Okay, I got it. You don't have to rank them, but tier list. So like we'll call it S, A, B, C. You looked at me like I wasn't going to know all my letters. Egg on your face. S tier is best. A, B, C, self-explanatory.
But what is best? Like
just your own personal.
My own personal favorite.
Who's getting S tier? Where's Troy? Troy?
Troy is the bottom.
Troy is worse than maybe brother?
Definitely.
Whoa.
Definitely.
All right.
Because she dates Duncan. When she finds out they're not related, she dates Duncan and he's a totally nice guy.
Okay.
You cannot put him in S tier though. There was too much question. I will not allow it.
His story ends lovely. I guess I won't spoil it, but he has his own love story and Veronica really helps him with that love story. And it becomes their ending becomes really beautiful, I think. But he can't be my favorite. I
shan't allow it.
Yeah, no. No, I mean, I guess the answer has to be, I think early Logan times are really fun. There's a lot of sneaking around. They're very, like, hot. No one can know they're together. And what's more fun than a forbidden romance? The way that it ends complicates my answer a little bit, because the Logan-Veronica relationship is marked by a famous Logan monologue where he talks about how he always felt like love should be epic. There should be bloodshed, lives ruined. This is what he says to her. And the music is playing. It's like I Hear the Bells is playing. It's like a format song. Because that's another thing. The first season soundtrack for Veronica Mars is it hits. It really hits. And yeah, it's a great needle drop. And he talks about how love should be epic and there should be bloodshed and lives ruined. And that's what I thought that we had. And it, like, stops her completely. It paralyzes her, and you never see her like that. And to see them ride it out into full-blown domesticity was a little hard.
Like, it didn't feel like that should be a relationship that continued past, like, something kind of explosive.
Yeah. If that's what you like about the thing.
Yeah.
Then I kind of wanted to see them fighting still, right? Like,
it's like the will they, won't they, that then it's like, oh, they're together and now I'm bored.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. Listen, like, I love Veronica and I love Logan and I'm happy that they were together in this fictional universe. But ultimately, like, when I think about ranking boyfriends, and I think about early Logan when it's really fun and crazy.
Yeah.
And then the next one is Officer Leo, we talked about. Great. And then Piz, radio guy. I think those are the main boyfriends. Yeah. Main boyfriends.
I don't love putting a cop in S tier though. I just need to.
He's a really good guy though, where you are like, oh, he's way too good for her.
You know what? I say that, and then I have had two people apropos of nothing, just out of the blue, be like, "Hey, Amy, does Chief Jim Hopper count for ACAB?" And I'm like, I don't know, man. I don't know.
Yeah.
No. I think Officer Leo is important to the show because the whole show is ACAB. Like, the whole show is
It needs someone working outside of the system, right?
Yeah, and so and also any cop that she interacts with, she is negging them. They're idiots. Because they knew her whole life.
Yeah.
So she disrespects cops. That's her whole MO.
Nice.
So it's so I will say like that the Leo presence is actually kind of a nice thing because it shows maybe what an alternative path, right? Because there's a version of Veronica that goes to the FBI.
Yeah.
Right? And for someone to be completely against organized crime solving and law enforcement to make a move like that, someone like Leo being in it and going up kind of the ranks in a traditional way is a nice element to the show, I think.
Okay.
And he's like cutie. He's such a cutie and he's very romantic and he's a man.
And she is
a girl. Technically, but she's lived so much. I mean, she's lived so much at this point. Like to act like she's just another 16-year-old would be crazy.
She's 16?
They don't date though when she's 16. I don't think.
He just
Do they? They flirt, which is not great either.
I think it's like a
we have
barely
a word
legal
for that.
situation. I think it's maybe 17, 18.
We do have a word for that.
Listen.
It's grooming.
Jerry Seinfelding?
Yeah,
but she was in control. Oh God.
I feel like this very much. I feel like for a show geared towards younger women,
it's working.
Well, it's geared towards that thing we all had where we like wore our best tank top to the Backstreet Boys concert and we're like, Justin Timberlake will date me and nothing will be wrong with that. Yeah. Like where in your brain you don't realize like, no, a full-grown cop should not be trying to date me, a high school student. You're just
But the thing is, she was trying to date him.
I'm so mature. All right, Mia, we're gonna, we don't have time to get into this. Okay.
Minefield.
Yeah. We're gonna have a real conversation about this later, but for now,
everything is a trap.
Moving on.
So wait though. We don't. No, I won't move on. But there's an interesting episode with Adam Scott when he's the teacher, and he's accused. This is good though. This is good. It is. This is good. So it's like Veronica's favorite teacher. Like he's like the cool, smart, great teacher. Treats the students with respect. His class is the thing that gets her to go to school.
Yep.
And it comes out that this girl is like they had an inappropriate situation with this teacher. And Veronica's like, there's no way I believe this girl. She's a liar. She is this. She is that. And the parents employ the father because he's a private investigator. And she's like, well, I'm going to prove he's innocent. He's innocent. And the dad's like, you're not going to like this. Like, I know that he's not. And I don't want to be working against you. And she's like, well, it's not good for like, don't you understand? A good man should not have his name ruined when he hasn't done anything wrong. He's an incredible teacher. And, this girl is awful and her parents are entitled and I'm going to prove that you're wrong. And the dad's like, yeah, like, and I'm going to prove that you're wrong. And this episode is this sort of heartbreaking reveal that this man that she really thought was really everything, like she thought he was the coolest, smartest, an idol. No. And she gets her heart broken in a way that you don't think she would be capable of. No. And you see not just that, but you see the relationship between her and her dad get stronger in the way that he trusts her that she needs to find this out on her own, and he's not really able to protect her from finding that out because he knows that she's going to look for the answer. And that was the nice thing, is that Veronica always looked for the answer, and even if it wasn't an answer that she wanted, she never shied away from it.
No. So Ben Wyatt was being a creep?
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's upsetting.
That is a damn shame.
Yeah, you as the viewer are like, no,
he couldn't.
It's true, and that's a
but that's good
Easter
casting.
one.
I mean, it is kind of like what Promising Young Woman did intentionally with casting a lot of really likable comedians and comedic actors, where you're going, but Bo Burnham's so funny and
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
It's like, well,
Yeah, not that guy.
yeah, not everybody's running around in a trench coat looking like a creep. So that is good casting, and that it does make you go, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So we had the show, we had the movie, and then we had the Hulu
Show.
yeah.
Show.
One season.
It was one season.
We got Zazuzi was also just asking, how do you compare the original to the continuation series? Because I watched a little bit of this because it's what's available right now for some reason.
Yeah.
You can't find the original series, which is a damn shame.
I can hook you up with some box sets, girl.
I'd watch them. I'm down. I enjoyed what I saw of this fine, but I am curious how it compares because I feel like a big thing for me is a grown woman doing this has such a different energy from a high schooler or even a college kid doing this.
Yeah.
So how does it compare?
Hell
for you?
yeah, box set. This is why physical media is important because
True.
everything you love will be erased one day.
true.
Every single thing. Get a hard copy of your favorite thing.
Yeah.
That's so important. Thank you for saying that. It's so easy to forget.
Yep.
Yeah. The way the show changes so significantly when she is an adult. Things become, I mean, for me anyway, it feels much lower stakes. It seems sort of crazy to say that considering where it ends. But without I think I took for granted the heightened stakes of being young. And also the tone of the new show felt very much more rooted in reality. And there's very much a heightened aspect tonally to the early seasons.
It kind of did just feel like a pretty well done crime procedural, which is actually a question we got. The Jolster was asking what sets the show apart, because for me watching the new season, I'm like, it's good. It just it kind of feels like, so the tone shift is kind of one of the big
substantial, I think. I mean, what was your experience, Kris?
It felt like a very different show.
Yeah.
It felt like it had the same cast, but a different showrunner and show energy. It felt like we shifted genre slightly.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that the beginning was so gutsy because it was sort of surreal and dreamy and sort of wild, and I wonder how much of that could exist with a fully adult cast. I mean, I'm a Lynch girl, so I think it totally can. But it seems like the priority or the shows that the new Veronica Mars were trying to be in conversation with were for an audience that was looking for something a little more conventional and wasn't looking to go on quite as wild of a ride.
which is a bummer, because it's I'd watch just a standard crime procedural with Kristen Bell, but make that a different thing if you're going to make it a different thing.
Yeah.
Oh, and I loved seeing the characters, and I loved being back in Neptune. There were some nuggets that, if you were familiar with the OG version of the show, you would be able to say oh, I remember this play. You'd be able to tell yourself. Nostalgia goes a long way, as I'm sure both of you know in various exposures to different fandoms.
Sure.
Gestures to wall behind
Yeah, I mean, there's something to be said for nostalgia, and there's something to be said for, I mean, and
It's not that. It's just that all the movies I grew up watching are better movies. They're better movies, and they're
just
good.
better, yeah.
And movies now are just less good and don't make me feel happiness inside, and nothing does. like I did when I was a kid. So that's weird, but just a coincidence of movies now, I think. Go on.
I just think that there's I'm trying to think of the best way to say what I'm feeling, because I feel so viscerally connected to the early Veronica Mars, and the new show. I wanted so badly to feel exactly that same way, and I didn't. But I'm not quite sure how much of that is attributed to me being an adult now. Yeah. And me not being a 7th grader, watching Amanda Seyfried with a wound in her head, like
Yeah.
hold a crying Kristen Bell while she tries to solve the rape and see if it was her brother or not. Like I think that there's a little bit of a difference going on.
Yeah. The stuff that forms you, like nothing will, there genuinely nothing will ever hit as hard.
No, totally.
And like that is just one of the weird, sad things of growing up. Of like, I will love things again, but nothing will ever like form my little Play-Doh brain in the same way it did as a child.
Yeah, and there's also like a thing where, and I love that Kristen Bell said this, which was something along the lines of that she's always spoken about Veronica Mars with such fondness, and a lot of people in that situation, I don't think necessarily would. They'd kind of maybe want to distance themselves from work that they did when they were in their early 20s, especially when they've graduated in such profound ways. But she said something about Veronica being a kind of murder she wrote that could conceivably, she's like, I could play Veronica till she's 80 years old. I love her so much.
That's nice.
And when an actor has that kind of relationship to a character they're playing, it's inherently, it's going to do something for me here, especially if it's Kristen Bell, especially if it's Veronica Mars. Yeah. So I'm optimistic for any kind of, and I'm always seated for any future Veronica Mars ventures. I'm here for the ride.
Yeah. So you're still happy that new season exists, even if it didn't live up to...
Well, I wouldn't even say it didn't live up to my expectations. I didn't have any expectations. I didn't know what to expect. And I'm happy that all of it exists.
Good. Nice.
I'm happy all of it exists. Is that what being a fan is?
That
Yes!
You did it.
You've done the thing. You're a fan.
You're a fan.
That's what it
Also,
is,
you're
isn't it?
incredibly knowledgeable about this.
Yeah.
Okay.
We did it.
I've got, then everything that I got messaged was what I think is probably the biggest spoiler of this whole show. So plan accordingly. If you don't want the spoiler to the newest season that came out in recent years,
Get the fuck out.
get out of here. Go on, get. We're gonna
I
white
don't want
fang
you anymore, stupid podcast listener. I don't even love you. I'm throwing rocks.
You did great.
You can't see it.
Oh man, they're not gonna come back for a while. Good job. Yeah. You really sold it. Everyone kept messaging me why'd they do that to Logan.
Yeah.
And the why'd they do that to Logan being, Amy, they kill him.
Oop.
They kill him
He done died?
right after Veronica marries him.
Whoops. Bummer.
Mia, why'd they do that to Logan?
Remember what I said about epic love?
Look, we got bored when it went well.
So
Maybe that's why they did it.
I was going to say, this is a really nerdy comparison, but follow me on this journey. So in the Spider-Man comic books, they kill off Gwen.
No, go ahead.
They kill off Gwen Stacy because it was just, she's perfect. And
who's Gwen Stacy?
his girlfriend that falls off the bridge, Emma Stone in the Andrew Garfield movies. Blonde girlfriend.
Yes, blonde girlfriend.
Blonde girlfriend. And so it was, she's too perfect. Why would Peter not marry her? And then Marvel editors went, well, because he's going to seem so old. He's going to be married. He's going to be he's not like a teenage superhero anymore then, because teenagers don't get married. So they kill off this perfect
Unless
girl.
there's a really good looking cop around.
Unless Cop Leo is
Well done. Holy shit. But so they kill him off, though, or kill her off. So it feels kind of like that, maybe?
Yeah. I mean, that makes a lot of sense to me. Like everything I said before, I think it gets boring to see them in couples counseling.
Yeah.
Like, imagine the hottest couple and then be like, they're in couples counseling and they're not.
I think that's even hotter, but that's just because I'm in my 30s and married. I'm like, oh, yeah, you're working on your problems together.
No, but it was like, they're too avoidance still.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like, I don't know, what are we doing here? Like, if it's not.
That's not good TV, though.
Yeah.
It's not, it's maybe good life, but not good TV.
Yeah.
Or not as good of TV for them, right?
Yeah.
Like, if what you want is the drama of it all, their dynamic in that last season was just sort of inherently, I think, written to be sort of cold. And then for it to heat up, right, to have this sort of disaster happen, right? And
How's he die?
It's like it's like a bomb. It's like a car bomb.
Blown up.
He literally gets blown up.
Not coming back from that, buddy.
No, there's no. Well, because I think there was some. Obviously, there's talk online about, well, is that real?
Oh.
Right. There's always, is that real?
When an off-screen death, can you ever trust
You
it?
can't find a body.
You can't. But he exploded. Like. I mean, it would be really crazy. And especially considering, like, a big part of his early season is that he was convinced that his mom faked her own death. So to have him fake his own death would be really sort of wild.
Yeah.
Or yeah, right. I know. I've been on the message boards, okay? I know. I think that there's another death that it reminds me of, actually, is Marissa on the OC.
Okay.
I
never watched. I only saw the shooting guy.
Classic.
Yeah,
Classic.
and then a couple little clips of Seth talking about Chrismica.
Yeah. Oh, don't get me started on that. I love the OC. But Marissa's death is sort of in the like third season of the show, and everyone freaked out about it. How do you kill off Marissa? And everyone was really sad because it was this really tragic, awful death that she died. And what one of the characters tells another is that she should have died a long time ago. Like, she had lived, like, when, basically, she has a near-death experience at the very, very beginning of the show and is saved by the main character. And when he is left holding her dead body, he's like, what could I have done to stop this from happening? And everyone tells him this was fate. This was something that would have happened sooner if you weren't here. And I had the same feeling about Logan because throughout the show, Veronica saved him, like, over and over again. And she saved him from himself. She saved him from biker gangs. She saved him from paparazzi. She saved him, she saved him holistically multiple times. He became cool bad boy to, like, project, kind of. And then he turned his life around. But I think that the Logan death felt inevitable to me. And while I understand the fandom's problem with it, because it's like all of that for this, I think it kind of had to be done, especially if there's going to be more Veronica Mars.
Yeah.
And I think that, not to be like this, but if the beginning of what was some of the most compelling stuff came from her losing her best friend, I think the adult equivalent of that is losing a significant other. And for it to be someone who is so important to her development and someone who knew her for so long, someone who made her who she was in even a deeper way than her 15-year-old best friend or whatever, could be a really interesting creative place if they do decide to do something else with it.
Yeah.
That's kind of my twisted take on it.
No, that makes a lot of sense
answer.
to me.
Yeah. I just remember watching it being like, well, then why the fuck am I here?
Well, because he said he wants epic love, bloodshed, lives ruined, and he got it.
Don't get much bigger than blowing up.
That's true.
He got it.
Man.
Thank you so much.
Hell yeah, this is great, Mia.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for being here.
I feel so cool for being here.
You are a fan of a thing.
Yeah.
I am a fan of a thing.
And you are my coolest friend.
Oh my God. Stop.
You would be my Amanda Seyfried minus the head wound.
Oh, well, the best, actually, I will say. She has this
Amy,
little
she's
tagline.
so much cooler than us.
No,
No, you're right. But
no, no.
Everyone's cooler than me, if that helps.
This is the coolest. The coolest thing in the world is being passionate about something and talking about something you love with people who love that too. And even if it's not the same topic, I think there's nothing cooler than hearing someone talk about something they're passionate about. Yeah. So thank you for doing your work.
Likewise, buddy. Where can people find you?
You can find me on Instagram at the Mia Top. Yeah, that's basically it. Keep track of my stuff, I guess.
Beautiful. And you can find us over on Instagram and TikTok at Two Filthy Casuals Pod. If you want bonus episodes every single month, join us over on patreon.com/Two Filthy Casuals pod for some fun little bonus episodes and content. And you can also, if you're listening to this, we're on YouTube at Two Filthy Casuals Pod. If you're watching this and you need an audio version, that exists wherever you get your podcasts.
Well done.
Wow, we took a couple weeks off and I got good at that.
You got
somehow.
so good at that. That was beautiful. That's the best you've ever done.
Thank you so much.
Man.
Thank you for being here.
Those antibiotics are doing the Lord's work. Can I get some?
They're brain antibiotics.
Can I get them?
They're
We're not sharing a brain cell anymore. You got your own, and I'm still floundering
well,
over
mine
here.
was infected, and now it's good, and I can have it all for myself.
Oh, I gotta figure mine out. Well, until next time.
I'm Amy Newman.
And I'm Kris Carr.
And remember, if you followed this fandom, you'd be home by now. Don't date a cop.
But he's a really hot cop.
But if you're a teenager.
But he's a really hot cop who's not coppy. Amy.
I don't love it.
Max Greenfield.